Diana Capcella.
And what is your hometown?
I was born and grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wonderful. And branch of service?
United States Air Force.
And you're a flight nurse?
I was a flight nurse from 1972 to 74.
So how did you enter the military?
Kind of a funny story. I was in college at the time, and my boyfriends were getting drafted, and I was getting mad about it. And I thought if they get over to Vietnam and get injured, I want them to have the best care possible. That was me. So I joined the Air Force.
What memories stick out for you the most of your service in Vietnam?
Well, I wasn't in Vietnam.
Okay.
I was just served during that era. I joined the Air Force in 1971. And somewhere along the line between then and 1972, I went to flight school. And I think it was November of 1972, I started my flying assignment in the domestic airbac system within the United States. And we flew the C-9. And my standout, besides the fact that we were very busy at that time, we were flying almost back-to-back missions all over the United States, and most of the time had full flights, especially for the folks that we picked up at Travis Air Force Base and bringing them back, and we'd take them to various hospitals within the United States that was close to family. Anyway, the thing periodically we would be what they called standing on alert. That is, if there was some emergency, that you were part of the crew that went off and picked up whatever it was. And I happened to be on alert one day, and we had been getting hints that they might be releasing the POWs from Vietnam. They did release them, and they were being sent to the Philippines for some recovery. And as I said, I was domestic airvac. So we still knew that at some point they were going to be coming to the United States. And anyhow, I was on alert one day, and they called me up and said, you're being activated for a special mission. Come on in right now. I knew immediately what they meant. And as soon as I got in there, the whole squadron that was there were extremely jealous that I happened to be on alert that day. So for about the next 6 weeks, I think, maybe a little bit more, we flew Operation Homecoming, and that was extremely rewarding. That was a lot of fun. The very first one, there were just two that were released early because their mothers were sick. One was right there. We went to Miramar, California, and the one was a naval officer, and he just stayed there because that's what his destination was. But the other one was going to Maxwell Air Force Base, Montgomery, Alabama, and we flew him across country. And he knew that he was very nervous, and he knew that when he got off the plane, the press were going to be there, and they were going to interview him, and he was practicing a speech. So he was actually, all of the POWs were in pretty much better shape than we expected them to be, which was great. But this particular gentleman, and I don't want to say his name because I may be wrong, but anyway, I helped him practice his speech. I mean, he was ambulatory, he was up and down the airplane, just nervous getting off. And by the time we got to Montgomery, I think it was dark, I think it was nighttime. And anyway, so it was extremely gratifying to bring these guys home.
Oh, sure. That's a really amazing story. So what is it like for you living as a Vietnam-era veteran 50 years later, and has that experience shaped your life in any way?
Well, I don't know if it shaped my life in any particular way, in a negative way. I mean, I saw what war can do and what kind of wounds people have, and so I'm not exactly pro-war, and I don't know any military person who is. So they're the ones that go to war. But what it did do, I mean, like I said, that particular experience, among others, was extremely gratifying in the way that we could help people. And it helped me decide to stay in the Air Force longer, so I stayed in for 26 years.
Oh, wow. Now, did you still practice nursing after you got out?
No, actually, after I got out, after 26 years. No, I didn't. I went to law school, actually.
Oh, goodness.
So I became an attorney and worked on Capitol Hill for a few years.
Oh, my goodness.
So I worked on healthcare policy for American Indians, actually.
Oh, how cool. That's super interesting.
And then I got laid off from there and then tried to decide, do I want to stay in the military or stay working or not? And life circumstances sort of made that decision for me. So anyway, I ended up retiring for good, sort of. Now I do a lot of volunteer things.
Awesome. What a sweet career switch.
No. There are a few nurse attorneys out there.
That's really cool. So for those Americans that don't know much about the Vietnam War or that era or the military in general, what do you think they should learn or know?
That everybody should feel a duty to serve country. You know, John F. Kennedy was president during part of my lifetime, and he made that famous speech about ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I think of that almost daily when I watch the news, you know, and you see people that are kind of self-centered and aren't really thinking about, you know, what's best for the country. And I think of that. I think, you know, I didn't like the draft. I had two brothers who had lottery numbers and fortunately didn't get called because it was about the time the draft ended. But at the same time, I thought, you know, everybody should feel a duty to do something to serve the country. And this is a very precious place we live. People are dying literally to get here.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, it's just been an honor and a pleasure to be able to be part of this project. It's been rather exciting.